Hi, I'm Charlie Scott. Last year, Staples Wreckers basketball had an outstanding season, making it to the state championship for the first time in decades. I had a chance to sit down with Dave Goldshore and talk about his first year as the head coach and what's to come this next season. Hope you enjoy the interview. All right, so, Mr. Goldshore, welcome.
Charlie, welcome. How are you?
I'm happy to be here.
Good. I'm happy you're here too. Thanks for taking the time and looking forward to it.
Oh, please, thank you. It is my pleasure. And look, I think we have to start by, of course, talking about last season. Just absolutely incredible. And of course, going into any sports season as a coach, you have to have some form of confidence going into the season.
Yeah.
But going into last year's season, did you predict that level of that high of success?
This is my first year, obviously,
Yeah.
but I liked the chemistry of the group from the get-go. We had 9 seniors that were coming back and, had a little bit of experience at the underclassmen level. And we had a great fall. Really did. Like, it set the tempo for our winter. And we always talk about, like, winning games during August or September. The game, that those games were won in January, February, or sometimes won in August, September, and this was very true with this team. So they came in, we had a lot of confidence. We played in the Sheehan Center Fall League, and actually was undefeated in the regular season, and then had a lot of success. We lost to Notre Dame and Fairfield in the final in a really close game, and I think that gave the kids a lot of confidence, as well as me and my staff the confidence to go into the year. Now, did I think that we'd be playing in Mohegan Sun? I believe in the group that I have in front of me, and I felt good about what we did. I felt like we had the ability to play in an FCIAC and a state final. Would have liked to have won either or both, but yeah, I had confidence in the start. I did.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So another thing about last year is you have to talk about it. You can't ignore the elephant in the room. It's just the award game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wasn't there. It's one of my biggest regrets of all time. I think I had a math test the next day or something.
Good that you studied.
Yeah.
Good that you
but
studied.
I was watching the live stream, and it was like Zach Brody and Devin Jarvis on the call. You could feel the energy through the screen. It was just incredible. So my question for you is, what did you say at the end of the third quarter when Staples was down, I think it was 18 going 16. Into the fourth? 16?
Yeah, we were down 16 going into the fourth. I don't really think I said much going into the fourth.
Gotcha.
We knew that it was time to kind of let it hang out, and we went to a press, and it was just I've discussed this a couple of times, but we tried to break the quarter into, call it 2-minute sub-quarters.
Right.
Where, we had goals at each one of those 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to cut the lead to 14 in the first 2 minutes. So we're going to try to cut the lead to 10, halfway through, and then just give ourselves a fighting chance. And it kind of just snowballed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And, the award games are always very hyped up. The one prior to that in the regular season, and they were a big opponent in the FCIAC. The award games were the marquee game in that season, but you also had very strong other opponents as well. New Canaan was very close, Ridgefield, Wilton, I think we lost and then won later on. I mean, all these marquee games.
Yeah, I mean, the FCIAC's got great rivalries. We had played, so we had played Ward earlier in the year. We lost her by 7. They gave us they probably were the one team all year that gave us the biggest. Danbury too, but Ward gave us some pretty big matchup problems. Their size, their length. They just sometimes these games are less about like talent per se and about matchups, or about strategy. They're about matchups, I should say.
Yeah.
Danbury, again, were up 8 going into the fourth up there earlier in the year. Their gym turned into a madhouse, and our kids just weren't ready for it. Not only the kids weren't, I don't think me and my staff were ready for it. And again, like these games are full of momentum. It's tough to stop a snowball when it's going on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what happened to us in Danbury happened to Ward in West Hill. Wilton, two, great, maybe the best executed regular season game we had all year. We just came up a little short. Adam made a layup, no time left, to bring in overtime and play here or call there, and we find ourselves on the short end of that stick, and then came back in the FCX quarters and just we were 2 for 20 from 3 in that quarterfinal game. We couldn't buy a shot. Yeah, we could not buy a shot, but we just kept defending, and that was like a trademark of that group. When we couldn't score, we defended, and it's super important just to do that.
Yeah. So would you say that Ward is the marquee matchup again coming into this year, or is there another team that's really stepping up?
There are a lot of really good teams. I think the FCX is better, if not as good as it was last year. Good. Richfield, who won 4 previous FCX, they are loaded and they're coming back. They're coming to our gym this year, thank God. We opened our FCX regular season with them. Stanford has 3 returning players that gave us problems. We lost here last year. Again, we're up 10 at halftime and kind of gave that back. Trumbull's going to be very good. Trumbull's young and they have actually a nice combination of youth and experience. And Ward, again, Wilton.
Yeah.
Every game, you look down the schedule and you're like, oh gosh, every night's going to be a dogfight this year for us.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. Stressful probably, but fun.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, last season, of course, hugely successful.
Yeah.
For those that say last season was a bit of a one-hit wonder or one season, like once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Staples basketball, what do you have to say to those people?
So I think last year is a culmination of what Coach Devine had done here the previous 3 or 4 years. If we think about it, we lost in the quarters 2 years ago. We lost in the regular season final in the COVID year. We lost in the quarters year before. It was a culmination of that. Now getting to the FCX final and the state final is always a high bar to stay at. But we're going to see. The kids have a huge task. As I've said, it's way easier to climb the mountain than it is to stay on top of it. So we're going to have to just be more efficient in everything that we do. But time will tell whether it'll be a one-hit wonder or not.
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope not.
I hope not as well.
I hope not.
Go
But
Rutgers.
I have a lot of confidence in the group that's coming up. And last year, the year we had a great fall, as I discussed, but we didn't have a lot of varsity experience going into last year as well. Chris played a lot when he was a junior. Cody got some minutes. Gavin played a few minutes here or there. But we have way more experience. I should say, just as much of experience coming back as last year's team had coming back. You have our backcourt is, they basically played starter minutes, both Adam and Sam. Mason had some minutes last year as well. Nick and Charlie and Caleb. We forget about Caleb. He's on the football field right now. Caleb has played significant minutes last year. We have actually more varsity experience coming back. So we're gonna have to see.
Yeah, it almost seems like each season, I feel like there's almost like a big senior loss coming into every season.
Well, I want to just say that I think the kids have a chip on their shoulder. To answer your last question, I think the kids, what I see so far, is that they have a chip on their shoulder not to make last year's team a one-hit wonder. So, I trust the kids.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, what you were saying?
No.
You were asking, yeah.
The only thing I was saying is that I feel like it's almost like each season a lot of seniors get lost. Like the season coming into last, it was Ryan Phelps and I'm not sure the older sales names.
Derek.
Right above. Right.
Derek and Ryan Thompson and Caleb actually they were just kind of here, beating up on some of our younger guys. So, So, you lose seniors, right? And we've tried in the last 2 or 3 years to promote underclassmen as early as we feel like they're ready and get them prepared and give them the experience that they need to be able to take the reins from the seniors that we lose, because they're going to be seniors soon too.
Yeah, I mean, Sam being a sophomore captain just shows the depth, I think. So
Listen, I honestly, no, I'm not sure there's been a harder worker since I've been here in Staples basketball than Sam. He is incredibly dedicated to his craft. He really is masters the details and makes sure he focuses and does his work religiously and is very passionate about it. And he's a great role model for seniors. He's a great role model for freshmen.
Yeah.
He's earned the right through just his behaviors and his ability to lead and his work ethic to be a sophomore captain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So kind of connecting to the hard work aspect of Sam that you just mentioned, Stance is on all the warm-up jerseys.
Yeah.
A few programs and clinics, I believe, are named after Stance. So what exactly does Stance mean?
Well, Stance to me is the Staples basketball core values. So Stance is kind of two, call it, mission statements. The first is the culture mission statement, which is S is for spirit, T is for transparency, A is for accountability, N is noise. I want them communicating. A losing gym is a quiet gym is a losing gym. C is conditioning, both physical and mental conditioning, and E is equality, regardless of whether you are you're Chris Zajac or you're the last kid on the bench, and the towel waver. Everybody is valued equally. From a basketball perspective, our 6 core values are Stance, S, which is shot selection, T, which is transition, A, which is assist to score. We want to make sure that we share the basketball. N is a famous quote by Pat Riley, who was the next coach of the Knicks and the owner of the Heat, who says no rebounds, no rings, right? So we got to rebound the basketball, and that's the N. C is, as you know, and I hear you guys talk about all the time during the broadcast, is we take charges. And E is we play off of 2 feet, we execute off of 2 feet. So to me, everyone knows what the core values and the mission of Staples basketball is, and they all got to try to get them to buy into it. So to me, it's just being very crystal clear and transparent on what it is that we stand for.
Awesome. And you kind of mentioned it there, but it's clear from the team's play style that you're a very defensive coach. Why does that work for you?
I think actually both the sides of the ball are married to each other, right? So I think when the offense is playing well, the defense is playing well, and the defense is playing well, the offense is playing well, and I think your offensive vision starts on the defensive side, right? It's a heck of a lot easier to go down and score when you take the ball, when you rebound and miss, than it is when you take the ball out from under the basket. So we talk about defense, we talk about the hustle, we talk about, I was a high school basketball player. I wasn't a very skilled one, but to me, I made my mark on having some swollen knees and getting on the ground for loose balls, or communicating, or having passion and a commitment to getting stops. That was kind of my mantra as a basketball player, and I feel like that doesn't require a lot of skill. It requires commitment and excellent and effort and teamwork and passion and all the things that I stand for in my coaching style. So that's kind of what translates. Maybe I just couldn't hit any shots, so therefore I had to focus on the defensive side. But I think that it is it's the engine that starts the car.
Awesome. Another one of Staples basketball's more recent, I don't know about core words, but I guess terminology, the junkyard.
Yeah.
The student turnout last year was awesome. I mean, game after game, even away game, I think one memorable one for me is Greenwich. I mean, that 30-minute drive, and our student section was far louder than Greenwich's was during that game.
Yeah.
So what do you think the importance of filling the junkyard or filling the Cardinals' den or really any stadium is to the game?
You know, to me, I kind of go back to, again, my high school years. And I remember Friday nights, whether when I was an underclassman, I hadn't made varsity yet, or when I played, I remember looking up and just seeing like it being a town event. I grew up in a small town in Westchester, and it was a town event, and it brought school spirit, and it brought camaraderie, and I think people enjoyed it, right? And so for me, when I see the stands filled, whether it's a junkyard, and I'll get to the story about that name in a second, but or going on the road and seeing, you know, the FCAC final look like Madison Square Garden that night, you know, to me it just says that people care, right? People care about, I don't know if it's they care about basketball, they care about one another, they care about the effort that they're seeing, they appreciate hard work, and they had fun. And if that brings the school and the town together, then like that's just an incredible experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you were going to touch on how the junkyard came about. Yeah, I'm so curious.
So we made a really, really great hire last year as an assistant coach, and that was Coach Pickens. I know you had him in on some, I think, the cleanup crew, right? And Coach is incredibly innovative, and he's creative, and I think he's close to my age, but he has like the enthusiasm of a 17 or 18-year-old. And we were just talking about that whole theme of getting people into the gym, right? So what do wreckers do? They wreck stuff in the junkyard, right? So that kind of caught on, and I think that was more of part of the play on making it a place to be, right? So I think it worked because the crowd was good. You know, you also win games. That also brings the crowd to the stadium, or to the junkyard. But that's how the name came about.
Yeah, it's kind of actually similar to how we kind of came up with the cleanup crew. But like we're the wreckers. So what do you do after a wreck? You clean it up.
I know. Listen, I had so much fun on your show a couple times the other day. It was great. It was great, and that just it makes the experience special for the kids that work hard every day, and it makes the experience special for the community, and it makes the thing special for the students at Staples.
Absolutely, and you know, you were talking earlier about bringing the town together. And I really see you doing that as well with Westport Pal basketball. I mean, you promote all their posts on Instagram, but not only that, when my brother was on the team last year, he'd even be at almost every 8th grade Pal basketball game. So it's awesome that you're really changing the basketball culture of the town.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a program. You know, it's not a 9 through 12 program. It's a God, now we're almost getting into kindergarten programs. It's a K through 12 program, and you know I want basketball to be a place or be Staples basketball, a place where kids want to play for, where kids want to play for, and so building relationships with them. Like this is all about trust, right? At the end of the day, like. Whether it's Sam or whether it's Chris or now whether it's going to be Caleb and Nick and all the underclassmen that are coming in, it's about trust. It's about them believing and knowing that us as a staff really care about the improvement and the development of them. And that starts when they come to our games. We should go to theirs. Right. It's you know it's a kind of a partnership. So I'm really excited. Jordan Schur, who's the new president of PAL, was a Staples alum who. Came to our alumni game last year and didn't miss, so I know he could play, and he's very passionate about growing the youth program in town, and you know, and I think his goals are the same goals that I are, to keep going back to Mohegan as many times as we can.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned alumni, and over the past few summers, I think Staples basketball has been doing those alumni throwback posts on Instagram, the alumni spotlights. So what are the importance of those spotlights and those other posts?
Again, I think it's no different than going to Thomas's game. I think it's acknowledging the people that played. It's them acknowledging and giving back and paying it forward to the kids that are currently there. Again, we were just at a captain's run that I peeked my head into, and I saw 3 or 4 years of records that were playing against each other, high-fiving and talking and having a lot of fun and just competing. So for me, the alumni post really says thank you. Hopefully their years at Staples were important, and they gave a lot to the program and deserve to be recognized for their contribution, and now obviously what they're doing later in life.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You've been coaching for, I think it's 6 years now, or at least at Staples basketball?
Yeah, so this will be my 7th year. 5 years as assistant coach Devine in Leicester.
Awesome. So you also have a successful business outside of coaching. So why did you choose to become a coach?
When I went to Michigan, I went to school there, and I worked as a student manager during the Fab 5 years. And it was there where I just found my love and passion for the game and for helping others develop in the game. And for me, it's always been just a lover of sports and the coaching my whole life, and I felt like it was an opportunity where my business, I have a really understanding business partner and a very understanding wife, and they were like, listen, go pursue your dream. It's been a dream of mine for a while. So the opportunity was right. Coach Devine was kind enough to give me that chance again after being away from it for a few years, and it's a huge passion of mine that I love desperately.
Yeah. And I remember from when I was very young, shooting hoops in the driveway or something at one of the many Leeds Lane, or it is Leeds Lane, right?
Regional.
Yeah, why am I thinking these like that? Anyways, and I remember you're showing us skills, like teaching us how to shoot and all that. So it's clear that it's been there since day one.
I had guys that did it for me. I think about my football and my basketball coaches, and I still stay in touch with them. They actually, my football coach and my high school football coach and my high school basketball coach came to the Danbury FCI final game. That's 25 years, 30 years later. They were such important figures in my life that for me, the fact that you remember that, Charlie, I remember when you were, running around this high and playing soccer with my son, and now look at you. You have this great production and you're doing great work, and you're winning an announcer of the Century Awards and everything else. It's great to see that we can have some influence and on you guys, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, another question for you, and might be my final question, is do your family members ever help you create plays or give you any sort of inspiration on how to coach? I mean, I know Justin is always on the sidelines on the bench, being a little, I guess you could say, water boy.
Justin. Justin had a great role last year. I said, Justin, I want you to chart rebounds. It's one of our core values, right? No rebounds, no rings. So I said, Justin, take the notepad and chart rebounds. And at halftime, I'd always want to know how many rebounds we had, and he'd put a little stick mark next to the rebound. So he'd show me the sheet at the end of halftime, and everyone would have 1 or 2, and Chris would have 45 stick marks. So stuff like that he was super involved with. My wife, who really, Lauren wasn't that much of an athlete, older, but now when she was younger has really gotten into it. She'll send me Instagram stories of ideas and plays. She sent me the story the other day. Juwan Howard, who's a coach at Michigan, had this drill where they had these defensive guys on a string, and it's almost like a rope where they're all attached. They have to move with one another.
Did you repost that to the Staples basketball?
I might have done it. I might have reposted it a long time ago, but she sent it another version of it. So I get that a lot. Jake and Jordan, it was great having them be a part of last year, Jordan being a senior and Jake being a sophomore, like it made it all worthwhile to be able to look in the stands and see my daughter and my son like supporting us. So Justin's probably the one who wants to be the assistant coach, but they all have learned to be the family of a coach now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So my one final question for you is, do you have any game day rituals or superstitions or anything you do consistently before every game?
So I work out before every game. I go to work and we have a gym in my office, and I'd go downstairs and I'd run and just get to sweat beforehand. I also eat peanut butter and jelly. For some reason, that's just like easy on my stomach.
Yeah.
So that was just my game day meal was peanut butter and jelly before, and I shoes and attire. It depends on how I feel. There was a sweatshirt that I wore, I think, for the last 6 or 7 games of the year last year, just because I get superstitious with that. But it's working out. It's the peanut butter and jelly, and then maybe the drip or the sneakers that these guys that my teammates, players talk about. If we're on a run or something that I like.
Awesome. I do got to say, I like the drip on the sideline. Sometimes it's the vest and then the hoodie, and then even right now, I mean the half zip, or I guess.
Well, and Chris at ASF does a great job. He helps me out a lot with it, and listen. The whole appearance stuff is, I think it's important. I think it signifies that it's important to me. It's important to me. It's important to everybody, and it's something that I just like as part of it. So it works well.
All right, well, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. You sat down with me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
Very looking forward to the season.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing great work.
Thank you. Much appreciated.